Yes, guys, welcome back to Chasing Green Arrows. Merry Christmas to everyone. We're very, very close now, aren't we, Dean? You feeling festive there in San Diego?
I'm trying, mate. I'm trying my best, aren't I? I don't have a Christmas jumper. And to be honest, they didn't win that poll the other day anyway. We didn't get enough super chats, so I didn't go out and buy one. So I just did a little bit of festive decorating just quickly before we came on.
Well played. Love that. How have you been? Are you prepped and ready for the big day?
Semi so, mate. We're off to Legoland today in California. So I've got some English friends actually over, so we're going to go and meet them. So spending Christmas with them as well. So that'll be lovely.
Nice.
I think it's going to be quite a warm day today, so that should be nice. But Christmas, it has been chilly, mate. It has been cold, so it has been feeling like Christmas. Like once the sun's down, you've needed a coat. It's a bit chilly in the air. So people are like, oh, you must be really struggling to get festive when it's so hot. It's like, it's not that hot at the moment. Like today will be warm for like 5 hours.
Yeah, okay.
And then that's it. It's back to, I'm not going to say it's cold because it's not like freezing, but you need a coat or a jacket at least. So
Lewis says the big day is Boxing Day because it's obviously the Boxing Day fixtures, which I guess we're here to talk about. Like we're looking ahead to that to that round of fixtures. I guess the big theme today is going to be Saka, though, isn't it? Like Saka looks like he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. If that's the case, I mean, even if he's out for 3 weeks, like you're selling him because there's 3 games before the 5th of January. So Saka replacements, man. We'll hold. We won't go there yet, but there's a lot to talk about with Saka replacements. There's no obvious answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I just had to wipe my camera there. It was looking a bit blurry. Yeah, I just tweeted actually. We're bringing you festive gifts today. Saka replacements. It's the only place to go shopping, really, isn't it? It's got to be done. I mean, it's very early to make a diagnosis like that because it's Monday, and normally on an injury like that, it takes a little bit longer to come out. So I'm surprised.
I mean, it's not ITK info. It's kind of fan accounts going, I've been told, but it's not. The club, Arteta spoke only half an hour ago and just said many weeks. He didn't give a number on it.
Yeah, and that's what I was told yesterday. Was just like, my guy just said, look, it looks bad. He said, I'm not going to speculate. It's not great. It's not like all the other knocks he's had. Is basically how it was put to me. So it was like, this is an actual injury.
Yeah.
And that means that Arsenal, for me, go into the transfer market now.
You reckon?
They were already considering another forward, and to know that they're without Saka makes me believe that they will have to go do something. Now, I don't think that means that they go and spend £80 million, but they also can't just go and sign some random, like you're replacing Saka here. And more than that, it depends how they look at this. I think they've already got 2 domestic loans. So they don't think they can loan anyone.
One of them is a right winger, but they just don't like him.
Yeah, well, that's part of their problem, isn't it? That is part of their problem. It's Raheem Sterling is taking up a spot.
Yeah. Is Nico Williams still up for grabs, by the way? We used to talk about transfers and wide forwards. I remember the link a while back.
And he's one of the names that's mooted. I've had it played down because that rumour came back out this week. I had it played down to me that they would sign Nico Williams. Obviously, Marcus Rashford is another player that they've had interest in, and he is gettable in January. I mean, look, if Arsenal go and say to Man United, £40 million Marcus Rashford,
just for the wage bill, you're going to get rid, aren't you?
United would sell him. Yeah. United would sell him. And then, is that a good signing? I don't know. Hello, big man. How you doing, mate?
Hi, Dean. Hi, Johnny. Merry Christmas to you already. I see both of you are sort of already in your jumpers, looking to celebrate soon. So, yeah, Merry Christmas from my side.
Thank you, mate. You've joined at a good time because we're talking. Dean's just said he thinks Arsenal might go to the transfer market. We haven't gone on to Saka FPL replacements, but we are giving the top line on actual maybe Saka replacements. So go on, Dean, carry on.
So, yeah, United would have a decision to make then. Because Arsenal aren't going to go and give him like 80 million for Rashford, obviously. Like that's ludicrous. So if they're going to chance their arm here, they're going to look for something that's good value. And so, to be honest, I'd drop it even lower if I was Arsenal. I'd go to United and say, all right then, £30 million Marcus Rashford, what are you saying? And then United are probably going to say no. But at the same time, like you say, you've got to consider getting the wages off. You've got to consider that Rashford's just come out with these comments. They don't really want want him to go to another Premier League club because it's risky. Like it is risky to let him go to a Premier League club just in case he thrives. I don't know necessarily that he would thrive at the moment, but at some point he might. Like he's 27, so like he's got plenty of game time left in him. If he can just kind of get himself back to who he used to be. So I'm almost convinced now that Arsenal do go and sign someone in January. If it's not a Rashford or a Nico Williams, then maybe they just look short term. Maybe they go look at the loan market and sign somebody there. There aren't that many players, that you'd be able to get on loan, because that means they basically can't get into the team that they're already at.
Yeah.
That doesn't typically help you when you're a team like Arsenal who are trying to strive towards big things. And don't forget, Arsenal have got some big games coming up. There's the FA Cup third round game in January, which Saka sounds like we'll be missing. That's against Man United at home. Yes, Arsenal should still beat Man United at home, but you need to have good options and you need to have a stronger squad, and that is the trophy that Arsenal need to try and win this season. So, yeah, we'll speculate for now. But what we don't know how long Saka's going to be out, but he will be out in terms of FPL. It is time to get replacements in this game, so we need to start doing some January transfer shopping of our own.
Yeah, nice. Let's go straight onto it then. Big man, you're a Saka owner. I'm a Saka owner. Dean's a Saka owner. We're all going to be selling him. Big man, have you seen the most recent tweets? I mean, it's not from Arteta, who said many weeks, but it sounds like it's 6 to 8 weeks. If that's the case, I mean, even if it was 2-3 weeks, we're selling him because that's 3 games. The vast majority are going to go to Bruno, and I completely understand why. Big man, you already own Bruno. Here are some other names, just top of my head. Like, this was without much thinking. Son, Kulusevski, Sarr at Palace is gaining some traction. Foden's punty. Odegaard's safe. He'll take half the corners and the penalties in Saka's absence. Ahmad is so cheap, and I think matches Bruno on a lot of data. And then Jota and Diaz, the minutes risks at Liverpool, but Liverpool with the form and the fixtures. So what's your take, big man? Where are you at?
Gianni, I'd like to correct you there. I don't actually own Bruno. I
sold him.
As
soon as I said that, I thought, no, we both just sold him.
But in a way, you were correct because I bought him last night. So there's that.
Of course you did. You had a Saka price drop last night, did you?
No, actually, I didn't. But I had Dunk, who's falling in price or will fall in price today. He didn't. He was actually scheduled to fall yesterday, but he didn't. And I wanted Trent. I've been surviving Trent for weeks, and I really want to go for him. So Trent was supposed to rise. He didn't, but I'm expecting a double swing on that transfer. And I needed to fund that transfer through a Saka downgrade, which is why I got Bruno. But anyway, we'll come to my team sort of later. I think Bruno and Odegaard are actually quite clear as being the best replacements. I say that because when you look at United's run, especially from game week 21, I know United aren't playing well, but they haven't really played all that well over the course of the season. And even initially under Amorim, it's not as if their data was like really, really strong. It's just that they had like relatively good fixtures. But then in game week 21, Southampton at home, Brighton at home, Fulham away, Crystal Palace at home, Spurs away, Everton away, Ipswich at home. Now that run from 21 to 27 is just tailor-made for Bruno. And I don't see myself not owning him. The next 2 or 3 for Bruno aren't exactly great. I mean, Wolves away is all right. Newcastle at home is fine. Liverpool away is tough, but this is a week where I'll probably bench him. But because it's a transfer I would have wanted to make later, that's why I got Bruno in right now. I think Odegaard is actually a very, very interesting differential, and I was very, very close in going Odegaard. The only reason I didn't was because of the fact that I knew that even if I got Odegaard, I would have switched to Bruno, let's say in 21.
Yeah.
And I didn't exactly want to book in a transfer. But let's say if someone still has a wild card in hand or is wildcarding in 19, Odegaard is still pretty good. Or if someone has plenty of free transfers and is in a position where he can afford to make a luxury transfer, then going Odegaard over Bruno makes for like a calculated gamble. I really like that transfer, especially looking at the next 3 fixtures for Arsenal. Ipswich at home, Brentford again, a leaky defense, Brighton very leaky. Odegaard can do well, and historically he has done well in Saka's absence as well. Last season, he looked at like, I know it's a small sample size, they're like 4 games, but he had 3 double-digit hauls in the 4 games that Saka missed. So I think there's a bit of evidence to suggest that Odegaard can do well in Saka's absence.
I'm so hadn't looked at Odegaard because I just feel like without Saka, the Arsenal attack is going to crumble. Like, not crumble might be harsh, but I don't expect much from them. Like, Dean, what's your expectations of Arsenal without Saka? Because they've not been brilliant in attack, but Saka's clearly their talisman, right?
Yeah, and don't forget, like a lot of their play is interchangeable between Odegaard and Saka. Saka's not as good when he hasn't got Odegaard. I'm assuming Odegaard won't be as good when he hasn't got Saka. So I think that's a concern. Odegaard is a great player in his own right. Obviously, it's not like completely reliable on having Saka there. And Arsenal, I've got a reasonable squad that they can lean on for the next couple of weeks until we do get to Jan. So I think Odegaard's. I don't know if I'm convinced about any of this, really. I'm not convinced about Bruno Fernandes because I'm not convinced by Man United. I mean, yeah, they've beaten Man City recently, but 2 goals in the last few minutes. It's a great performance. They lost to Nottingham Forest before that. They've just been beaten 3-0. I don't trust Amorim to not play Bruno in the deeper role in one of the games that's coming up. That would be a massive red flag for me in terms of the fact that like what Amorim is doing at the moment with this United team in terms of just not regularly putting out the same team. I think it's a big concern. It's a big problem that they've got. I think he will play deeper. In fact, I would be convinced that at least one of the upcoming 2 games he plays Bruno deeper.
It's been about 50% since he's been there.
And so I don't want a deeper Bruno. Obviously, you've still got penalty factor, blah, 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 and he'll be on set pieces and stuff. But United just aren't in a good place at the moment. They're so inconsistent. They're unreliable as ever. Nobody can fix this group of players, it seems like. I'll be honest, right? I'd sell Bruno Fernandes as an actual football club. Like, I think he's part of the problem. Like, this is nothing against Bruno Fernandes as a footballer. Like, he's obviously great. He's just like, this whole team just needs to like be disbanded. Like, they just need to sit down and have a chat together and be like, lads, ain't working, is it? Ain't working. We're going to keep 4 of you. It's like when you make everyone redundant, just call it like a structural reboot. We made all of you redundant, and the only ones that are staying are like Ahmad and a few like that. I just feel like it's just... And Bruno, the problem with Bruno, he's seen it all so many times. Starts to go well, falls apart again. I've got a new midfield partner. Oh, I'm playing here today. It's just like this cycle of doom. So I don't trust Fernandes. I don't really trust Odegaard until I start to see what Arsenal were like without Saka. And that's why I'm probably veering towards Jota, to be honest, because he's about to come in and they're the best team in the league. So why would Jota not be a better pick than those guys?
Well, okay, let's get to Jota because Bill also asked about him. And thanks, Bill, for the super chat. And Jota is someone I'm close to, but boy, is he risky. Just before we touch on Jota, because we've spoken Man United, just want to get Big Man's take on Ahmad because I'm between Ahmad and Jota and maybe 1 or 2 others. But Ahmad saves you 3 million on Bruno. The numbers are similar. The starts are going to be similar. In fact, Ahmad, even when he's at wing back, is going to be higher often than Bruno. 3 million saving just for penalties, Big Man. Is it worth it?
I don't necessarily agree with the minutes, by the way. I mean, Ahmad could put in 2-3 disappointing performances and be dropped in like 4 weeks' time.
No way, mate.
Bruno, he's there for the long
no
run.
way. There is no way Ahmad Diallo is being dropped from this team.
He has been their best player in recent times.
He's the only good player. He's not even the best player. He's the only good player.
It's a case of recency bias. So you're buying someone for 2 to 3 months. I mean,
it's not recency bias. It's under this manager. It's not just recent. It's literally since Amorim walked through the door, he's absolutely obsessed with this guy.
He might be, but then again, my point is I'm sort of relatively comparing his minutes to Bruno. I completely agree with the fact that 3 million is quite a significant saving, and I don't think Ahmad is a bad option. I think he's actually a pretty good player to own, and I think I would in Gianni's position I would go over Jota because I think Jota is actually a big risk. And especially when you're buying Liverpool players for the upcoming double, you don't exactly want to be in a position where, let's say, come game week 24 or 25, when the double arrives for Liverpool, you're in a position where one of your starters isn't playing, and then you're sort of scampering to find the third optimal player, which you don't own. That's why I'm going to go for Alisson, and that's why I'm sort of building my team in a way where I can go for Alisson. But yeah, I think I would prefer Ahmad over Jota. Ahmad over Bruno is, again, it sort of comes down to team preference. For example, I already have an enabler in Raul Jimenez. And I also own Morgan Rogers. Not that Raul Jimenez has been very useful for me. He's actually been pretty useless. But the point is that I can afford to bench him. I don't necessarily need a third enabler in my team. And if I can afford to go Bruno, I would rather go Bruno over Ahmad. That's simply the logic. Not necessarily because he's 3 million worth it over him or anything of that sort. Simply because if I'm in the position where I can afford both, with money not exactly being an object, I think I prefer Bruno for the pens and for the security of minutes long term.
Interesting. That's what stops me buying Bruno is just that Ahmad is there, and I go same FPL points. I reckon I expect the same FPL points from Ahmad that Bruno gets if you take penalties out of it. But I don't think 3 million is worth it for pens. But it's an interesting one because I've got the money. I could afford Bruno, and it still gives me the same route to Isak that I'm. But yeah, we'll talk about our teams later.
Yeah.
Go on, Dean, and then we'll get to
I'd
Jota
say
and
that's
Bill's
the interesting
question.
route for me is that like I downgrade Saka to get Isak.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
probably the better route for me to go rather than going, like I said, Jota. Like, I just think he'll have a good return to action, like when it comes, like, and it's full time. But I can probably get on that Isak train now if I can. I'll have to take a -4, but that would be my potential pathway to Isak now. I mean, obviously, I contemplated taking a -8 for him last week. I didn't do it, and I would have been okay if I'd have done that in the end because of the hat trick. But you look at it, I don't like signing players in the back of hat tricks unless it's Haaland, because most of them can't obviously follow that up. But he is the informed guy right now. And
he is.
so,
in the last 4 games, he's had 47 points. But he did have an EFL Cup game on Thursday night where they scored 3 and he didn't get a single return. It's like, managers are getting the good end of the deal. But let's talk about Jota, Dean, because you and I like him for a reason. It's Leicester at home. It's a bit of a lottery if he starts. We expect him to start, but we both thought Raul Jimenez would start the weekend. I mean, he started. Like it's hard to predict FPL managers. Does Jota get 60 against Leicester? He should do. He's had 3 cameos already. He's now surely ready for 60.
Yeah, definitely agree. The Fulham, I think Marco Silva was trying to prove a point with that Fulham lineup at the weekend. He wants transfers in January.
Yeah, okay.
And suddenly he fields our reserve team against Southampton. He's done this before.
It was weird. There was no Smith Rowe, was there?
Every now and then he does this. Like he tries to make a point, and he always does it around this time before Jan. Like we never spend money in Jan, and he always wants them to. And so he's basically put the bit like half a team out against Southampton. Like plays Josh King and stuff. So it's a bit unlucky for FPL players really with the Jimenez thing because I think he was trying to prove that like we don't have a very good squad. But yeah, Jota's got to be gearing up towards some better points right now, and obviously because the games are coming in closer proximity, you would imagine that they're gearing up towards giving him some good game time. And what better opponent than Leicester at home? It's a no-brainer. With Jota, it's even okay if we're a bit unlucky and he doesn't start, because we don't know that he's going to start. He's going to get a decent run off the bench, 30, 35 minutes against Leicester at home. Not the end of the world, is it? And then the games that you've got coming up, West Ham away, I think, is it Man United after that one? Yeah,
he'll start. If he doesn't start Leicester, then he does get the start versus West Ham. So he gets one of them.
Yeah, he'll be back in the team. By the time they play Man United, Jota will be back in that team.
He started 7 of the first 8 as the number 9.
He was
first choice. But has Luis Diaz played his way in?
He's not the 9, though, is he?
No, he's trying to be, but he did have a great game yesterday.
Yeah. So it's a tough call. China says Slot does not need to rush Jota back to starting. I don't know if he's rushed. He hasn't rushed him, has he?
He's had 3 cameos. He's had 2 league cameos and an EFL Cup cameo. That's not a rush. You would expect his length out to have 3 or 4 off the bench and then a 60.
Yeah, so I would imagine he's ready for it now.
If anything, some come back and have 1 cameo and then a 60. Like he's had 3.
Yeah, he's been training for ages now. This isn't like putting Chiesa straight back in there, like someone who's actually broken.
And not first choice. Like Jota was the pick at the start of the season. I mean, big man, what's your take on Jota, number 9, coming back in? Obviously, any buyer knows they're not getting lots of sets of 90. but it's just going different with an upside at a 7.2 midfielder playing up front.
I get the upside. I think he will eventually get a spot back. I sort of agree with you over there. But I just feel it's too big of a risk to go there. When you have the likes of, Bruno, Odegaard, who have good fixtures and are going to play minutes, and they're reliable assets. Why would you go different with Liverpool, with a Liverpool player, especially when it's like you're knowing that a reliable guy will get 2 starts. It's about a sexy pick versus a non-sexy pick. Very similar to the discussion we were having earlier.
Oh no, we're going to have to talk about Dominic Decoy later.
I was going to bring you to that. Let me come to that later. But anyway, I don't get the appeal of Jota simply because if he's going to play one game and he's going to play 30 minutes in the other, then half the upside is killed right there, right then. I would rather have 2 players who are consistently playing at least and are on the field for good fixtures. And it's not as if Liverpool don't have a good defense. They have in fact, the defensive rate is best in the league. So I don't personally get the argument of going Jota just for the upside when you can easily utilize that spot and pick a third Liverpool defender or a third Liverpool goalkeeper. Why not? So I'm not a huge fan of Jota, but it is a punt for those who have a higher risk appetite than me. So I can see why you'd want to go there. It's perfectly fine.
Dean Szoboszlai option?
He just had his best game in a Liverpool shirt. So there's more reason. Szoboszlai is great, and I think you're finally starting to believe in him a bit more as an attacking 8. The big question for Liverpool fans will have been, has he got end product? I knew he had end product because I've seen him play. Yeah, I've seen him play everywhere else before Liverpool, and I've seen what he's capable of, and I think he's outrageous football. I think he's brilliant. He's going to be an amazing player over the coming years for Liverpool, and he will weigh in with more goals and assists. I don't know that you can trust it consistently yet. We've just seen him, have his best game. And it's away at Tottenham, but he was commanding, and he had a bit of swagger about him too. I like the way that Szoboszlai feels like he belongs in that Liverpool shirt now. So I like him. I don't think I would be picking him yet. I think I'd probably leave that for now. British says he thinks that Szoboszlai was a one-off. FPL Lord says Szoboszlai had a great game because of the tactical way we played high, and he filled the gap behind Diaz. He definitely was one of the players that had identified that we just need to pressurize this Tottenham defense. He was if you saw him whenever they pulled the camera out a bit, Szoboszlai was the one that was get out to them. He knew that you could push that defense into mistakes, Forster into mistakes. So he's got a voice in that team, which is interesting. He's definitely becoming that sort of player.
Notorious says about him playing number 10. He's like an attacking 8/10, which he wasn't under Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp didn't play with a 10. This is clearly Gravenberch and McAllister behind him, which is his best position. So I do think we've seen a difference under Slot because it's a slight positional change.
Yes, and I will still continue for now to speak to him about him as an attacking 8 rather than a 10. But I take the point, because he's going beyond now. That's just the tactical setup, and the way that we talk about numbers is changing all the time. So I don't think
agreed.
Managers would really put much significance to that. But it's interesting in terms of whether he could continue that. If we get 2 or 3 more weeks of Szoboszlai getting in and around the goal contributions, then I would start to consider it at this stage. I think there's, Big Man's just pointed out there's probably other Liverpool assets there that you would be better trusted.
Gianni, I think I'd like to sort of raise another point. Dean mentioned Isak earlier. None of us own Isak, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And he's basically decimated our rank this week. Last week when we were podding, we sort of mentioned that the Leicester fixture was gone. He ended up getting a hat-trick. Anyway, what's done is done. My point now is that do we prioritize bringing him in right now, as in this week, or do we still wait till game week 20? Because my team was in a very similar position where I could have picked one of Trent or Isak.
Yeah.
And I went with Trent because I think Liverpool's best fixtures are to come. The Leicester at home fixture could be anything. Trent has historically done well on Boxing Day as well. And I still distinctly remember that haul. I think it was 7-8 years ago when he absolutely battered Leicester and got close to a 20-pointer. But yeah, I went with Trent over Isak because I think Isak's next two are, this week it's a good fixture against home to Villa. Next week away to Man United, it's an okay fixture. But is it a fixture which screams a hat-trick? I don't think so. So I went with Trent. I want to hear your thoughts. I'm still looking at Isak in game week 20. What do you guys reckon?
I mean, the fixtures, we'll just show the ticker, but from top of my head, it's Aston Villa, Man United, and Spurs. So the next three...
Yeah, I get him for Spurs.
Yeah, so on paper, they don't look like easy fixtures in terms of Newcastle winning, but they are good fixtures for goals. Yes, they should score against Villa, Man United, and Tottenham. And then from, as you say, game week 21, Wolves and Bournemouth at home, that's when we're all going to look at Isak and say, must have, essential, game week 21. But if you're getting him in 21, do you not just find a way of getting into earlier? Because the entry point of Villa, Man United, or Spurs is equally good because they are bad defences at the minute. Dean, what's your take? He's gone up to 8.9 million. In game week 10, he was 8.3. He has had a huge, and he's probably going to go up again before the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, it's massive. It's massive trajectory he's getting at the moment in the game. One concern that I have got at the moment is, remember there was that game week the other day when we had like weekend, midweek, weekend, and it was like massive changes suddenly for the middle games. Are we getting that on Boxing Day? I'm starting
some teams who play again on the Sunday, but teams like Chelsea and United play on the Monday. That might be all right. Thursday, Monday turnaround is like 3 and 8, but for the 3 and 7 guys, that might be an issue.
Yeah, so I'm not sure I even mean this directly about Isak, but I'm just trying to consider like what we're getting for this Boxing Day round, like in terms of
rotation. I thought the same when I bought Jackson. I was like, is he going to play Boxing Day?
Didn't have a good game, did he? Like he missed 2 good chances, got subbed. I think there would be a chance that Jackson would be subbed. I mean, who else would he play against Fulham? I mean, what?
He might go with either Guiu or Nkunku, but
yeah, I can't see Guiu getting it, but Nkunku probably does deserve a chance at some point. But I could see, as a Fulham fan, I could see Nicholas Jackson being the one that gets the most joy against us. So that would be a tricky call. But yeah, I'm just a little bit concerned as I'm looking at my team right now about rotation and how that might be affected.
Yeah, big man, one player we know won't be rotated is Isak, which is great, isn't it? That's another reason to buy him because he's good for 90. There's no Callum Wilson, and they play Thursday, Monday. So again, they get an extra day to a lot of teams. Yeah,
and I mean, you were mentioning he's a good asset from minutes and the fixtures are still there. I completely agree. My point is that a lot of people are not exactly in the position where they have a lot of transfers in hand to ensure that they can get to both Trent and Isak this week. And in that position, it's sort of really tricky to decide when to go and where to go, which is why I thought I'd go with Trent because of the Liverpool fixtures.
Yeah. Oh, it's a tough one. Shall we conclude on our Saka replacements chat before we move fully onto our teams? Because I want to go our top 3 Saka replacements, but then we give our top 3 and then we do if you had to force into a corner, pick a differential, who would that be?
Sure.
One of your 3 might be a differential, but we can think rogue. I'm going to start.
I think
Ahmad at 1. Sure. I'm going to say Bruno at 2, and then I'm going to say Foden. We haven't spoken about Foden, but we should.
We should. Mate, Foden might be 1. Like,
his fixtures are insane.
His fixtures are insane. He actually finally is coming to life. If you watch how many shots he was having against Villa, he had something about him. It's very hard to trust him. It's hard to put him. It's hard to trust, man. But like,
if this was any other season, Foden would have been a no-brainer at this point.
I got a text from the producer of the fantasy show last night to go, "Can you come on the show today? I've been on this morning." He goes, "Can I get your differential?" ? Guessing it's Foden. And I didn't even have a chance to respond to go. I actually went Jota, but I was like, I'm that predictable. Everyone knows I want to buy Foden, and he's just scored, and he's got the fixtures. And yeah, new Dean would be with me as well. Like Dean always reminds us, he is the former Footballer of the Year from last year's season.
It's crazy. Like I'm not sure there's ever been a drop off as like stark as this. To go from winning the league and being Footballer of the Year to, was that his first goal of the season?
Maybe. He's only had 30 FPL points, probably.
I think that might have been his first goal of the season. So that's crazy. And then you look at, obviously, City have to get going. Like, this cannot, 1 win in 12, that can't continue. They're the worst team in the league at the moment. That can't carry on. And this is their platform. Everton home, Leicester away, West Ham home. These are the 3 games that have to turn it around. And someone has to spark them into life. No signs it's going to be like a De Bruyne, like the old days. So they need something to happen. I'm not seeing it in Savio. Doubt is coming from Doku. Can it become Phil Foden? Possibly, yeah. The one thing that concerns me a little bit here in terms of backing it is like Everton have just like shut up shop. They're like, yeah, we're not really playing football anymore. We're just going to like build a wall and we're just going to have 0-0 games. It's ridiculous. Like the spell of games that they've had back-to-back 0-0s. Before that, they had a 4-0 win. They had a 4-0 defeat before that. But then the 2 games before that were 0-0. And then you go back a bit further, there's like
I benched Mikolenko for all of those.
Yeah, but then there's another 0-0 a few weeks before. It's like, oh my goodness, what are they doing here? So I'm a little bit concerned that like this, Everton wall is going to stop them. But I do think that Phil Foden is a very good pick. My top 3 would be Jota, Bruno, Foden.
Okay, big man, before you give yours, let's talk. Give me get your take on Foden, because it's Everton, Leicester, West Ham. It's Thursday, Sunday turnaround, i.e. he doesn't get the extra day that Chelsea, Man United, Newcastle get. De Bruyne was on the bench and didn't come on, which was so bizarre. Like, I don't understand why, Dean. I want your take on that in a sec. But big man, your thoughts on Foden?
I think it's a good pick. I think it's a good differential. I would actually
needed you to call me on that idea. I wanted you to calm me down on that, but okay.
No, I actually think it's actually a very interesting differential. I would go Bruno first. I would go Odegaard second, and I would go Foden third. So yeah. Odegaard and Foden both are differential picks, and I think both can do reasonably well.
Minutes? Foden? He's had 2 sets of 90, but he plays Thursday. I mean, he's fit.
I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine.
Has to, surely.
You reckon?
Has to.
What if De Bruyne comes in and starts? You just get them both, or Foden plays wide for one of them?
De Bruyne's legs have gone. There's no energy in that Man City team. So he's got to pick players that have actually got some athleticism and some fitness.
And he is running. Foden is. He looks like
Foden's not got any fitness concerns. Like, the reason he was left out at the start of the season wasn't a physical problem. It was more of a mental problem, right? So you're looking at it and you're like, you cannot. Pep has to stop doing this Bernardo, Gundogan, De Bruyne, it'll come good in the end thing, right? It's not happening.
2001, 2021.
He's got to sign. It'll go into January. He's got to sign some players that are like 25 or something and have got like loads of zip about them and hunger to get out of this rut. But Foden's right there, and he's one of the few players that you could be like, okay, we have got the footballer of the year here. He's 24 years old. He is one of the most talented players England's ever produced. Like, if we can just get him reprogrammed, let's just show him videos all week of how good he was last season and then just put him on the pitch without any training. And that's all he's seen all week is how good he is. That's what I would do this week with Foden, sorry.
Big man, Ismail Assar is getting a lot of love in the chat. Talk to me.
I think the argument for I guess going against Sarr is very similar to what you mentioned with the Odegaard, as to the Palace attack might be weaker without Eze. And that's sort of similar to what you were saying about the Arsenal attack without Saka. So I'm not sure I still trust the Palace attack, especially if Eze is still injured.
It's not a great fixture either.
Yeah, Bournemouth away isn't the best entry point. So yeah, I guess Semenyo is all right as well as a pick if you want to go there. I don't necessarily mind. He's cheap as well. And Bournemouth, again, as mentioned earlier, second for XG. So you'd pretty much expect them to score on most fixtures.
God, I've just put Foden in my team, just try it on for size. And he does block me from Isak. Like, Cunha to Isak is a move I know I want to make. I don't know when I want to make it. Like, it could be next week. It could be in 3 weeks. But it leaves me 0.6 short. If I go Bruno, I've got 0.1 buffer, which no doubt Isak's going to keep rising.
Johnny, let's discuss teams. Because we have 3 of them, so they will take a bit of time, especially looking at our transfer plan. So let's bring up our teams one by one.
Yeah, good shout.
Jay, me and you are 2 points apart.
Are we?
You've gone for it, mate. You've caught me. We are now neck and neck in this game.
Oh God. Okay. And if you hadn't captained Salah, mate, that would have been a disaster.
Mate, honestly, I literally.
Me and Big Man were like, don't overthink it. Don't.
I nearly did. I have to admit, I was very close.
I saw your Instagram story, Dean, where you posted the team, and I was very glad that you captained Saka, because had you captained Palmer over there, I would have sent you a text on WhatsApp right then to change your captain.
The thing is, Big Man, you still should have done that, because I didn't take your advice by going Semenyo instead of Ahmed. So I should have listened to you even closer, mate, because I would have had actually a reasonable week if I'd gone down that path. Look at the state of this. Like, how are all these players getting 1 and 2 points?
Yeah, it's disappointing when you see like Chris Wood and João Pedro have been blanking a bit recently, haven't they? That front line looks a bit.
Literally since I signed them, I don't know if they've scored it. Chris Wood might have got 1 goal since I brought him in. João Pedro has
had more off disallowed goals than goals.
What's annoying, the one that Alanga scored at the weekend, it was actually aimed for Chris Wood and he just missed the ball.
Yeah,
like it was cut back for him to just put in, and he like missed the ball, and Alanga just stuck it in. I'm like, come on, what's happened here?
Also, a Dean clean sheet. We were like minutes away, like 2 or 3 minutes away from a Dean clean sheet.
I know.
That was very unfortunate. That Aina on the bench was just to rub salt into the wounds.
I mean, exactly. Like, again, like I had Kirkers in the team, if you remember. I took a late decision to put Luca Dean in there. I was like, actually, no, Man City are rubbish. They're not going to score in this game. I can't see it happening. I think he'll keep a clean sheet. So I changed that. Aina, to be fair, I could deal with that, because I was like, he was never actually going to be in my 11. I've just got to accept that I would never have expected those 15 points.
Because the last we spoke, I think all three of us sort of mentioned Kirkes as being the pick.
Yeah, so
I guess you were unfortunate either way. But Dean really should have had a clean sheet. City didn't really create much all game.
Yeah, exactly. And Kirkes, I still can't believe Man United have not scored against Bournemouth at home. But there you go. I'm just really, looking at it, and it's like that Wood, João Pedro, Delap thing is just like disaster right now. I wish I had a wild card to use, but I don't. So, not sure what I do this week, to be honest. Obviously, Saka's got to go. But
what's happening with? I know you haven't got Cunha, Dean. What's your take on the Cunha ban thing? Because you've, as a journalist, you've probably been privy to more, or sort of understood the process a little bit more, like in terms of, is it office hours we should be looking out for? Like when a ban comes in, when a charge comes in, when does the ban take effect? But we haven't heard from Wolves on this. We went into the weekend not knowing for absolute sure that he weren't going to play, that he was going to be available. We know he's been charged. Wolves had until Thursday to respond, appeal, whatever. Surely he's going to get banned, right? But could it be in a couple of weeks, like after the festive program, because of the tight fixture turnaround?
It's crazy, isn't it? Like, I honestly don't know. Like, this is a bit different to any story that I've ever seen of this kind. Like, I don't know what. Usually, like, there's some sort of investigation, and they're trying to, like, say there's like a tunnel brawl or something, and we haven't seen it, and then you're kind of, the investigation is trying to like check on cameras and check on like accounts of what actually happened and what the referees said and all that sort of stuff. We've watched this in real time. Mm-hmm. We've then seen even 100 replays of the moment. It's clear what's happened. So I honestly don't know, mate. I don't know. If I was Leicester, I'd be really annoyed that he was even playing in that game, to be honest, because I'd be like, if any other disciplinary measure that happens on a pitch, you're not playing in the next game for something like that. So I wish I could give you a better answer. JR says, I fully think that Cunha doesn't get banned until 2025. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to suggest anyone goes and signs him just in case, but if you've got him for right now, then you're probably thanking your lucky stars you got away with that one. Yeah, so I don't know about this team, mate. Saka, yes, he'll be replaced by someone, and then I've just got to decide if I can persist with Wood, João Pedro.
Yeah. Dean, I think you should. I personally think you should be doing Saka to one of Odegaard and Bruno for the reasons mentioned earlier, and then that would allow you to get Isak for Delap as well. So I mean, you're luckily in a position where you can actually get Isak in for basically a dud, and that would be quite a significant improvement on your team.
It would be, yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier on. I was like, in terms of a Saka like replacement, I want Isak as the replacement, just to like give me a decent striker, give me someone that's got some form about them as well. So yeah, potentially that would be a good path to go down. So on my way to Legoland today, I think I'll be making that decision.
Oh yeah, we are streaming slightly earlier today than normal on a Monday because of your Legoland ventures. I forgot that.
Actually, isn't it?
I forgot that. Okay, nice. Well, if you want to see Dean's team before the deadline, check out his Instagram. Likewise, me and Big Man, we post our teams on Instagram before deadline. So check us out. Check Chasing Green Arrows out on Insta, of course. Let's move on to mine or Big Man's team. My team.
This is yours, Jenny.
The bench. You both agreed with me on Fabianski over Sales, and Sales, for once, Brentford didn't score at home. And then it got worse. Morgan Rogers, 14 points. Mikalenko, 7. 27 big ones on my bench. I feel sick. Oh, and I bought in Jackson and sold Solanke at the last minute, literally with 2 minutes to go to the deadline.
Oh, you did?
I sold Dominic Decoy.
You didn't have him, mate. Honestly, I thought that's why you'd caught up with me. To be honest, I saw when he got the assist, and the guy was like, "Oh," I was like, "Geez, I finally got something out."
Rush of blood at the deadline.
Didn't want to keep him, but it probably means he's caught up with me. But I'm pleased he's got. You didn't have him.
And mate, he was rubbish. He was decoy for 75 minutes, and the game was won. And then he just got his jammy late point. He took his goal well, but
scored a sexy goal.
What'd you make of that, Big Man? I did it. I pulled the trigger. I went Nico Jackson, who just went, I'm going to just miss all these big chances today, and Solanke's going to score some scraps late on. Not my season.
Well, what's done is done. I think looking at your team, there's no point sort of reflecting back on it. I mean, you know my thoughts on Solanke. We've sort of discussed them at length. But I actually think your team is actually sort of well set for the weeks to come, Gianni, because you already have Trent. And I guess Cunha was going to be a sell either way because his fixtures from now on aren't great, whether or not he's banned or not, irrespective of that. I think he's a sell. Cunha to Isak is actually a very easy transfer for you to make if you sell Saka for a cheaper midfielder, which you're going to do. And of course, you know my thoughts on the replacements, but whoever you pick, you can just afford Cunha to Isak along with it. So, I mean, I think that
would be a -4 though. I don't really want to be taking a hit to sell Cunha. I think Cunha, if he's available this weekend, I'll swerve the hit and just keep Cunha because it's Man United and then Spurs. If he's fit, if he's available, I like Cunha for Man United and Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Wolves beating.
I guess you can then buy Isak next week. I guess
I can buy Isak. Yeah. If I go Foden though, I can't go straight to Isak. If I go Bruno, I've got 0.1 buffer to get Cunha to Isak. Or if I go Ahmad or Jota or whoever, I can.
I think this is actually pertinent. I think this is actually pertinent because Isak is rising by the hour. He's already risen he rose on a Sunday morning after the hat trick, and now he's scheduled to rise either tomorrow or day after. So this is sort of pertinent to my team as well because a lot of teams are actually in this position where they have just 0.1 or 0.2 wiggle room. So it's actually very important to pick a Saka replacement that allows you to effectively get Isak down the line.
My preferred Saka replacement, though, is Phil Foden. If it's Phil Foden, where do I find the 0.6 or probably 0.8 by the time I buy him? Where do I nick 0.8 in this team to go Cunha to Isak? I can't see a place to do it. I'm not selling Gabriel. I'm not selling Trent. I can't find 0.8. And therefore, I think that rules me out of Phil Foden.
I think that you're right in the decision making and the thought process is correct. I mean, I would definitely prioritize Isak over Foden.
Yeah. If Cunha gets banned today or tomorrow, that'd be helpful. I don't mind keeping Cunha for a few weeks and finding the 0.67 over the next 3 games.
Would you take a hit though? In that case, would you take a hit?
I think
you have to.
Oh, if Cunha was banned, well, that would mean probably starting Rodgers or taking a hit. And Rodgers has been good, but I'd probably take a hit and get straight to Isak because of the price rises. But it doesn't sound like we're getting a ban. It's Monday. It's Christmas Eve tomorrow. It's Monday at 3 p.m. We've still not heard anything.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it looks unlikely at this point, to be honest. It's just ridiculous that it's been sort of lingering on for a lot of time. And Now Christmas is there, New Year's there. Who knows when he's going to get
There
banned?
hasn't actually been much reporting around it either. Like the typical guys that I
Yeah.
would check in on to see whether they've got like the scoop on Wolves have had nothing.
Really?
There's been nothing there. Yeah, they just haven't
Because the new manager, maybe that's the news, I guess.
written anything. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, the leaks aren't there, so it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, still not sure what I'm doing. I'm selling Saka. Don't know where I'm going. Foden's who I want, but it does limit me. And Cunha to Isak is a spot I'll use. Like, I don't really want to be making Jackson Isak in 3-4 games. Like Jackson's good for a while now. João Pedro to Isak is an option if Cunha didn't get banned. You know, if I went to Amad Diallo, for example, because if you go Amad, you're going to be saving a ton. But yeah, let's see. Big man, let's see your team. What did you get? Points. Oh no, we've not got your points. We've got how you're looking. Oh, okay. So you've made
points
transfer
wise,
with Bruno.
Yeah, I'll just run you through my points very quickly. I got 73 points. I was actually having a miserable week, if I'm being totally honest. Before the late sort of blitz from Solanke, which sort of rescued me big time, and I still sort of fell down in rank, but I believe I'm still in a very good position at 300k, 360k. So yeah, I mean, the run of green arrows is finally ended. I was on 7 green arrows. Now that's gone.
Wow.
But I've made my 2 free transfers. If you can bring my team up on screen, I'll sort of let you know. As mentioned earlier, Dunk was falling in price. Trent was rising. And I wanted to get Trent in ASAP because he's in all my plans in the weeks to come, simply because of Liverpool's fixtures, their underlying data, their potential upcoming double. So it's nice to have a defense in place which reads Saliba, Trent, and Gabriel this week. I think that's a strong defense. And then I got Bruno for Saka. I was actually up all night deliberating this transfer because I was very, very close between Bruno and Odegaard, and I didn't exactly know which way to go. I literally slept at 6 a.m. tonight because I was sort of reading up on the stat.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
You still made the wrong choice.
One way and the other. Hopefully not. Yeah, so Bruno blanks. I mean, to be very honest, I am sort of expecting Odegaard to outscore Bruno in the next 3 to 4 weeks. But I just think over the long run, Bruno will probably sort of come close to matching him, and that's exactly what I want. So I went with Bruno. I think he's a safe choice. Now my plans in the weeks to come will involve getting Isak. I guess I'll probably bring him after Solanke plays Wolves at home. So potentially in game week 20, I'm looking at Solanke to Isak. I can do Flecken to Alisson if need be as well. And I think after the next 2 fixtures, I'll look at selling one of the Arsenal defenders to actually fund these transfers. So maybe Saliba to Castan would be the transfer which would help me get all the players that I want. But yeah, I currently have 1.2 million wiggle room.
You're going to need, right? You're going to need about 2 million to upgrade Flecken and upgrade Solanke to Isak.
Yes, and Johnny, I exactly have 0.2 million wiggle room on these transfers. So yeah, I actually want to hear your opinion on this as well. How many times do you think Isak rises between right now and Sunday, which is going to be
going up tonight by the looks of it?
Yeah, so it's basically
going up again
between tonight and the game week 19 deadline. How many times do you reckon he rises? So that's between now and Sunday.
Weekend. If he bangs on Boxing Day, then he's going. He'll have another 4 price rises before 19. If he doesn't, it could be 2.
You expect him to rise every night? I mean, I know he's rising very, very quickly, but like there are literally 4 days between now and Sunday.
Yeah, but if he scores on Thursday, he'll go up. Let's assume
Friday.
He goes up tonight and he goes up tomorrow night before, or goes up by the 18 deadline. 2 price rises before he kicks a football on Boxing Day. That's fair, I think, probably, if he does go up tonight. If on Boxing Day he bags a brace, he goes up that night, and then he goes up again the night before game week 19. That's 4.
Yeah,
but if he doesn't bag a brace, he doesn't have any movement after 18 to 19. If he blanks.
Look, what I'm hoping is that even if he rises tonight, then he's probably going to hold off till Friday night, because I assume that during Christmas the transfers won't be as let's say volatile as they are right now. And then if he sort of holds up till Friday morning, and even if he rises on Friday, and even if he rises tonight, then I will have sufficient time to sort of react on Sunday. That's what I'm sort of currently hoping for. But yeah, I have point to
limit, isn't it? It'll be his third. He can't rise more than 3 times in a game week.
That's true. That's correct. Yeah.
So he can't rise. So let's assume he rises 3 times. So that would be. I think I could see 3 price rises between now and 19. But let's see. It depends how he performs. And it is Villa who've just beaten City, and we're actually pretty solid defensively against Man City. As bad as City have been, you always fancy.
Villa have been good in recent weeks.
Yeah. Until Foden scored, City had produced fewer than 1 XG in the entire game. Okay, I like it. And Burmo, long-term hold now for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at Eze as a potential replacement, but now that his minutes are a concern, I just think I'm resigned to keeping him home. And I honestly think the fixtures, yes, they aren't amazing, but Brighton away, Brighton are terrible defensively. Arsenal at home, it's a tough fixture, but at least it's at home, and I'll just use Gabriel and Saliba as a way of hedging against Mboma that week. Then Southampton away is actually a very good fixture, and then it's City at home, which is fine. So I think I'm just going to keep Mboma for the next 4 fixtures, probably. I think for the foreseeable, actually, because after the next 4 fixtures, the fixtures will turn good again.
Yeah. Dean, any thoughts on this team?
I mean, it's obviously very solid, and I think sticking with Solanke is going to continue to pay off as he picks up bits and pieces. Like, they've gone, and I think it's quite evident, really, that he's still a good pick in the fact that they were battered by Liverpool, still managed to get 3 goals. Like, that's the thing about Angie's team. They have just so little interest in defending that they're always going to try to score, and Solanke, as a result of that, is going to pick up enough points. Forwards are so unreliable this season. Like, I can't really remember another season when there was not like one guy that was consistent as a striker that you wanted. Like, it was always like a Haaland or whatever that you knew would bring you in points, even if he was really expensive. We haven't really had that. It's jumped around a bit because Isak was quiet at the start as well. So I think having Solanke is a good one at the moment, because a lot of people would have left that like you did. The rest of it's obviously very solid. I mean, obviously I knock Trent quite consistently on here, but the cross that he puts in the other day is exactly why you guys love him. And his radar is on at the moment, isn't it? So yeah.
A couple of shots on target as well, didn't he? Yeah, he forced 2 good saves out of Forster in the second half.
He did, yeah.
I want to cover another thing. Dean, thanks for your thoughts. Just quickly, another thing I'd sort of like to mention. You mentioned, I mean, last time we saw that Slot used all the subs. Even Salah got subbed relatively early, and a lot of other people got subbed as well. Trent wasn't subbed, and he played 45 in the week. Do you think there's any concern about him getting the night off on Thursday?
No, because Bradley's not around, and if he needed the night off, he would have had an early sub. The fact he played 90 shows me he's good to go. Thursday, and then again, I think it's Sunday. I think it just shows he's fit and ready, and probably not that worked against Spurs. Like, they had a lot of the ball, didn't have to actually do much defending until the end.
I can see a start in an early sub against Leicester, I think.
Yeah, I could see an early sub for Salah if they're cruising at 4-0. Like, you've got a Sunday game. That Thursday-Sunday Liverpool, which isn't ideal.
But then they have a week's rest after that. So, I think all the game management, all the time management will have to be in the Leicester game.
Hey, we haven't spoken about triple captaincy, guys. I don't have my chip. But is Salah triple captain? I mean, we haven't spoken about captaincy. We don't need to. If you're not captaining Mo Salah this game week, have a long, hard look at yourself. But
even I am.
Do you consider the triple captain chip, guys? Like, I've used it, so Connie Shan is doing it.
I mean, it's not the worst shout in the world. I personally don't. If I had it, I've already wasted mine this season. So that was gone in game week 9. I don't think I would use it personally for this game, but there's definitely worse uses of it that I've seen, probably including me.
Big man, you tempted? Fewer double game weeks this season. Yes, Liverpool will get a couple or one.
I think I mean, reading Ben Crellin's recent tweet, there's a 50-50 chance of the Liverpool double falling in 24-25. And if it actually falls in 25, Liverpool playing Wolves at home in that week. Wolves at home, Everton away is exactly what you want as someone who's had the triple captaincy chip left. So I'm just going to hold the triple captaincy chip and hope that it falls in the correct week so that I can take advantage of it.
Dean, we'll just have to pray that it's Diogo Jota that picks up all the points in that double game week because we'll both have him.
Right. Exactly, I'll have him soon. Not going to get him this week, but I am going to go for Jota soon. After what we've chatted about here, I've decided that Saka goes, Delap goes, Odegaard's in, Isak's in. I've gone. Do you know what? It was just like I was like, oh yeah, Odegaard.
This week I mentioned Isak next week. I mean, you're taking a hit.
I've taken a hit. Yeah. I've gone for
wow.
it. Yeah. I'm fed up with that front line. I can't look at it anymore. It's stressing me out.
Who are you benching?
Ahmad probably. Aina again, so they can get another 15 points. And probably Luca Dean loses his spot.
Oh, it's a strong squad. Wait, you might want a bench boost. Forget triple captain.
I need a bench boost. But yeah.
Me and Big Man should have bench boost last week. I think I had 20.
Oh, man.
We both had like 28 points.
So we're looking at.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You
can't. A lot of people have moved early this week because they can't be arsed thinking over Christmas, and because the price changes are volatile anyway, so it just makes sense to just.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Christmas Day means more transfers. Big Man, you said earlier Christmas Day might. I think Christmas Day is going to be high traffic. I've treated myself to hits on Christmas Day as like a little present before.
I think it's going to be quite the opposite because a lot of people have actually switched off.
I've treated myself to a wild card. I'm actually going to make a wild card video for Christmas Day because I think the YouTube traffic is going to be really high. So if you fancy seeing that, check out my channel on Christmas Day. I'm about to record that now, actually.
Yeah. Everyone's looking for distractions on Christmas Day, whether you celebrate it or not. You're either bored because there's nobody around because they're all celebrating it, or even if you are supposed to be celebrating it, you're just bored anyway because you're still with family and you're just looking for a distraction.
And you are at home. One place you are on Christmas Day is at home, so you're watching stuff. Like you're not out. When I worked in shopping TV, Christmas Day was like busiest day of the year.
Was it?
Was it really?
All right. That's weird.
Mate, enjoy Legoland.
I'll try.
Big Man, enjoy Bruno and all your dodgy penalties.
Cheers. I'm going to be treated to a red card again.
Oh, I hope so. I might even go there. Here I am, having just sold Bruno, me and Big Man, I feel like it's harder to buy him back straight away, but you've done it, and maybe I do. I don't know. Guys, thank you for watching. As always, Chasers, we love you. Do us a favor. We've not once in an hour asked you to like or subscribe. If you want to do either of those things, we would love it. We'd love it.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, till the next time. When's our next stream? Do we know?
Saturday.
Guys, we'll see you Saturday.
Have a good Christmas, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Take care.